Hi there, it's Marie, and welcome to Real Life on the Homestead in Ontario. I'm going to follow up on our yogurt making video, which I will link in the description box, where I asked you, would you be interested in seeing my naan bread recipe using my homemade yogurt? And the responses were overwhelming. A lot of people are curious to see how I make homemade naan bread that is absolutely delicious without yeast. And funny enough, my girlfriend's having a dinner party. She's cooking up some curry and asked me, would I bring my naan bread? Absolutely, I would do anything for Joanna. So I am going to be making some naan bread and taking it over. First thing we're going to start off with is we need some self-rising flour. And I don't purchase this in the store, I make it at home. So how about you see how I make my homemade self-rising flour, which is super simple, nothing spectacular. But there's no reason to be buying two separate types of flours. So let's get organized here and we'll make some self-rising flour. And the other things you're going to need is some yogurt, some salt, and that's it. So simple. It's just a matter of getting organized, doing it, and needing high heat to cook it. And I'll show you the trick that I've done to get my naan bread to puff up beautifully. So let's get started with the self-rising flour. Now, I always make 4 cups at a time, and then I keep it in a mason jar. So when I need self-rising flour, I've got it made. I don't have to make it every single time. But what you're going to do is take 4 cups of all-purpose flour, and you're going to do 6 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, I know some recipes ask you to add salt in when making self-rising flour. I never do because my recipe is going to have salt. So I don't want to affect the overall flavor. So then I use a whisk just to make sure that I am mixing everything in perfectly. And there you go, self-rising flour. I'm going to make some more because I'm going to use some for the naan today, and I definitely want to have some put away so that I have it on hand as I need it. Pretty simple, and it continues to be simple. As I always say, the description box will include the recipe. This one will be a recipe for 6 naan. However, I am tripling my recipe, so you will see quantities higher than what you will need. Make sure to check the amounts in the description box. I am adding my flour. I lightly place it in the measuring cup with a spoon because I don't want to compact my flour. Then, of course, adding my pink Himalayan salt, which is my salt of choice always. It has no iodine and it has no plastics, which a lot of sea salt now carry. You have to be careful where your sea salt comes from. There's a lot of those microplastics in the ocean, and we have to be aware of that. I mix my flour and salt so that it's well incorporated and move on to adding my yogurt. That is our liquid for this dough. I like to use my homemade yogurt, and I will be linking the video that I've made in the description box so that you too can make your own homemade yogurt. It's amazing. I do it Greek style, so it's nice and thick, and I just mix in slowly with a spoon to get it incorporated. It will come together and it will be super sticky. Do not be tempted to add more flour. You need this to be very sticky. As you can see, it's sticky, but it's supple and it's very soft. You need it to be sticky because as you roll out your naan breads, you're going to be adding more flour constantly to your bench. So you don't want to have a lot of flour to start with. See, this is what you're looking for. A gooey, ooey texture. All good. I'm going to flour my surface very well and roll out my dough so I can knead. I'm dividing this into the 3 portions because I tripled my batch and show you exactly what one portion will come out to. The entire time you need to be adding flour to your bench, flour to your hands, because like I said, it is a sticky dough, and as you knead, you'll notice that it sticks to the bench, so you'll find that it's wise to scrape off any of that gumminess that sticks to your work surface. See how soft that is? It's a beautiful dough. If you're working with marble, it will still stick, so just be aware of it. Now you take your portion and divide it into 6 relatively equal pieces. There is no reason to weigh this out. This is homemade. It is an approximate, divided into 6, and this is perfect. Again, always flouring my surface, and I pat it out slightly before I start rolling with the rolling pin, adding flour on both sides. That was just me checking how my pan was doing, making sure I did have the flame on. And you will find that at times it might stick to your rolling pin, it might stick to your surface. Just work with it and don't get stressed. If you have a piece that totally falls apart because it's so tender with the yogurt, just put it back together, knead it back together. Do not stress. If you get a hole, don't freak out. This is homemade. It's not assembly line processed through rollers in a factory. And you want to have that authentic look. As you see, oh, look at that. I caught another one of my prepared pieces. I want to show you how it does stick to the surface because I don't want you to think that it only happens to you as somebody who's starting to do this. It happens to anybody. I've done this many, many times, and I just go with the flow. Honestly, I do not stress over these things, and neither should you. A little bit of flour on the rolling pin will remove any extra sticky dough. And here we go. We are ready to take this to the pan. I'm going to repeat this process a couple of times just so that you can see how it works. Not that I want to make a longer video, I just want you to see the process more than once. Patting it down, adding some flour, making sure nothing's sticky. It's just repetition. And then when I do start frying them up in my cast iron pan, I roll one while another one is cooking. So it becomes like a little bit of an assembly line. See how smooth this is? Once you get the hang of it, it gets easier and easier. And even myself, the first one of every batch is always the worst. You seem to get more proficient as time goes on. I am cooking this in a dry cast iron pan. No oil, no butter, just medium heat. And this is the closest I find that you can get to a tandoor oven, which is a clay oven that has a fire below it and they stick the naan to the interior side walls. I know that people do cook these on pizza stones in the oven. I've tried it that way. I didn't find it worked for me. Number one, I found that the oven would lose heat every time I open it. Just want to show you how these bubbles are forming. That is the puffing up of the baking soda inside your self-rising flour. Now getting back to our oven with the pizza stone, when you pull out the pizza stone, like on your rack, to place another naan on there, and you're pushing it back in, the chances of getting burned are high. So to me, this works really well. I have one naan cooking while I'm rolling out another, and it really becomes an assembly line. So I find this is much easier than opening and closing an oven over and over. Now I am keeping this in real time so that you could see how long it takes to cook each naan bread. It's not very long,
but I did want you to see how it puffs up. And then you just check the back and see if it's ready to flip. I would say it's almost like a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Really will depend on how thick you're rolling out your naan. Some people like them thicker and bread-like, and some people like them thinner, more like a pita. So I like mine on the thinner side, not as thin as a pita, but on the thinner side. And as you see, the center's starting to puff up really good. So I'm going to flip this. Look at that perfection. And you saw that little puff as I flipped it over. The second side will take a lot less time. And honestly, once you've had one of these, you will never buy a store-bought pita again or naan bread. I will show you how to make pita breads in the future, but this one is naan bread. And there we go. This is pretty much done. I'm just waiting to, like I said, I want to do this in real time so you see how long it takes to cook. Here we go. Look at that. It's beautiful. Absolutely what we're looking for. So I'm going to put these aside. I am not brushing them with butter right now. I will show you that later. And I'm going to go on to my next one. I'm going to shorten the video a bit because I'm not going to waste your time watching the same thing over and over. And this one is now ready to be flipped. And we're going to cook this side as well. And here we are. This one's done. You see how those bubbles brown up on both sides? These are delicious, honestly. I'm starting a carnivore diet and I'm going to be making these for others, but I still enjoy cooking these things and I love to share these recipes with you. Now let's get this job done. We've got quite a few of these to cook. There we have it, folks, a nice pile of beautiful naan, so soft and supple. I am going to wrap these in a tea towel, and when they're cool, I will place them inside a zipper bag to take over to Joanna's, where I will finish these up with some ghee.
Okay, we're now at Joanna's and she's getting ready for her dinner party. So we're gonna need to finish up these naan. What I did is I packed them up in a tea towel inside a zipper bag. They're still very fresh, but we wanna crisp them up a little. So what I'm going to do is just heat up the pan, get it nice and warm. Look how beautiful these are. They're still very flexible. Just warming up that pan. And we're gonna be coating it with some of our ghee. Now, if you're interested in making ghee, make sure you comment below because I am happy to share. So our naan is now freshened up. It's nice and hot. Place it on the plate here. I'm gonna throw another one in while I'm showing you this. And what we do is we take some fresh ghee and just brush it lightly. You're not dousing it in butter, but you're keeping it nice and moist this way. See that? It's beautiful. You could also do a garlic ghee, which is really nice, and some parsley flakes. These things are all amazing. Now, I want to show you what Joanna's put together for this incredible dinner. And here, she has put together some curried veal shoulder. Isn't that incredible? I don't know if you can taste that or smell that. No, sorry, you can't. But it's amazing, and we will be enjoying that. I'm going to finish these up, and we are going to take them over to this gorgeous set table. Look at this. Between veggies and pickles. Look at this. I'm so sorry you can't join us, but you too can make these things.
I have another naan recipe that I cook out on the barbecue using a yeast dough. And if you're interested in that, please comment below. And please, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, share, and get no upcoming videos. But most of all, go out and live your very best life.